The sea has no mercy for pride. On January 13, 2012, a floating palace became a sinking tomb, and the line between bravery and cowardice vanished beneath the waves. The year was 2012. The night was calm. The sea gentle, a typical evening in the Tyrrhenian waters off the coast of Italy. But in just a few hours, one of the most luxurious cruise ships in the world would become a symbol of arrogance, panic, and courage. Her name was Costa Concordia. She was a floating city 13 decks high, carrying over 200 souls on a journey built for luxury, not survival. And at her helm was Captain Francesco Schettino, a man known for charm, confidence, and a taste for showing off. That night, January 13, 2012, he commanded a salute, steering dangerously close to the small island of Giglio off Italy's Tuscan coast. It was meant to impress passengers and a guest on board, but what was supposed to be a spectacle of mastery would turn into a disaster of human failure. At 9:45 p.m., the Costa Concordia glided dangerously close to shore. Beneath the surface, unseen and unmapped in the ship's navigation, a hidden reef waited. At 9:45:07, metal screamed as rock tore through the hull. A 160-foot gash ripped open the starboard side. In less than 3 minutes, water flooded the lower decks. The lights flickered. The ship shuddered, and then chaos blackout, said one officer. Electrical failure, said another. But deep below, the sea was winning. Passengers wandered confused through glittering corridors now tilted at impossible angles. Crew members gave mixed orders. Some told guests to stay calm. It's just an electrical issue. Others whispered the truth, we're sinking. At 10:05 p.m. the ship began to list 7 degrees, then 15, then 20 tables slid. Glass shattered. Families clung to railings. Still, there was no order to abandon ship. In the bridge, Schettino hesitated. Minutes bled into hours as panic spread below decks. By the time he finally shouted the order, abandon ship, many of the lifeboats were already useless, trapped by the ship's heavy list. On the dark sea, the Costa Concordia began to roll onto her side, a wounded giant leaning helplessly toward the rocks of Giglio Island. People jumped, some fell, some clung to ropes, praying the lifeboats would reach them. The freezing Mediterranean swallowed voices, screams and light. At 11 p.m., the ship lay half submerged, her hull torn open, decks jutting into the sky. The tiny island home to barely 700 residents became a rescue center overnight. Fishermen, locals and the Italian Coast Guard fought the darkness to pull people from the freezing water. And then came the voice firm, angry, unforgettable. From the radio of the rescue command boat came the order that echoed across Italy. Get back on board, damn it. It was Captain Gregorio De Falco, yelling at Schettino, who had already fled to shore, watching from safety while hundreds struggled to survive. By dawn, the Costa Concordia lay on her side like a fallen monument, her name visible. Her pride gone. People were dead. Thousands more would live with the memory of terror, of confusion, of survival against the odds. In the days that followed, divers combed the flooded halls, grand pianos, chandeliers, half-eaten dinners, everything frozen in place, like a luxury tomb beneath the waves. And in courtrooms and headlines, the truth unraveled. Schettino's arrogance had guided the ship too close. His hesitation had cost lives. His cowardice had made him a symbol not of tragedy, but of shame. But amid the disaster, there were heroes, Tucker, crew, members who stayed behind to save passengers, locals, who risked their lives to pull strangers from the cold, rescuers who refused to stop searching until every last light on the ship went dark. It was not a story of adventure, but of consequence, not of exploration, but of human failure and fragile courage. And yet, from the wreckage of the Costa Concordia, a message endures. That leadership is not about standing tall, it's about standing firm when everything else falls. Even now, on the shores of Giglio, the sea still whispers that night's lesson of pride, of panic, and of the cost when one man's ego meets the ocean's power. Even today, the waves around Giglio whisper her story, of a captain who fled, of passengers who fought, and of ordinary people who became heroes in the dark. Because when pride sank, courage rose from the water.